Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin did break here on the daily chart our trend line a few days ago. Since then, it's been going downhill, not massively, okay, but this trend line, which I find quite relevant, was broken. I mentioned it to you a few days ago, and yeah, it actually did break. What impact it really will have, we'll see, but I think it did have an impact given that it was quite a strong red candle on the day that was on Tuesday when the price moved down from around about 66,530 all the way down to 64K. Yesterday there was a little bit of a recovery at the end of the day, so we're going to talk about that. But yeah, this was obviously the sell-off that we've had, and a lot of people got a bit shocked by that, and it impacted altcoins as well. But it was a break of trend line, right? So it did have an impact because a lot of people are watching that trend line. Overall, looking at the Elliott Wave patterns, however, nothing changed because on the daily chart, the main support region, it could easily be tested in our yellow wave count, and the market could easily come down in wave C or 4 again in the yellow scenario to possibly test 55 to 58K. Not necessarily expected, but has definitely become more likely with the break of the trend line and with the protracted B wave that we see here, this extended B wave. It's not too deep to be reliable, but a low should really form soon, or we are heading down in yellow wave C or 4. Now that would provide an opportunity to maybe add again in that orange support region down here. Yeah, this is the daily. This is the most relevant view because anything happening on the shorter time frames is a bit choppy. This is sideways flat correction. People don't have the patience to deal with a long multi-month sideways flat correction in crypto, but it's nothing unusual, at least not as long as we are holding 50,700 and we're not even close. We're not even close, and we can see 3 waves down from the top. So at the moment I see this, however, as the white B wave within that larger 5th wave that we discussed in previous videos. This is our support area. Trend line broke, so it's worth to be on the side of caution. Some might have used that as a short trade setup, but let's go to the smaller time frame because here we had a smaller, let's call it a smaller time frame long trade setup, really for maybe intraday traders or scalpers yesterday. We talked about that yesterday in the last video. I also published it on X. Make sure that you follow us here on our X profile, by the way, and also you can join our WhatsApp channel if you're interested. Make sure that you follow the correct account. There are additional updates, and you might have seen this one yesterday, the last Bitcoin update, in which I highlighted that we were, not this one, that was the second photo, this one here, which was our descending wedge here that we talked about, where I highlighted, okay, in this orange third wave to the downside, that the minimum requirements for that third wave to the downside are fulfilled, and that we might see a small recovery rally today or tomorrow. And we've seen that recovery rally, and that was the idea was that we get that recovery rally in wave 4 into our resistance area. I'm watching this descending wedge pattern in case on upside breakout wave 4 might start. And actually, just after that tweet, after that signal that I also published to gold members, the rally happened in wave 4. Of course, you know, just a counter trend move, at least that's the current idea. Let's go back to the Bitcoin chart. You see how it broke just after the tweet. That green candle on the hourly was an engulfing green candle that led to a breakout out of the wedge, and we moved into that resistance area. Let's talk about that in a minute further. But before we do that, here, this is the 1 hour more detailed, but bird's eye view basically on the 1 hour chart on our support area. The main support area I just showed you down here with the yellow count that could send us down lower. But before I make the yellow scenario the preferred scenario, I'm exploring that white count in which on the 1st of May, the 4th wave bottomed. And I mean, this could all still easily be part of that wave 4 correction, okay? It's just that naturally, because we've been printing higher highs and higher lows, I'm exploring if we're already in the breakout, even though it doesn't feel like it. But a lot of altcoins have corrected in a way that really they can't handle much more than one more low. So either all these setups break, and on the altcoins, because, you know, typically altcoins, you know, if one of them breaks, they all break. Okay, very much generalized. It's not like that exactly, but when you're dealing with like, I don't know, 30 altcoin setups, usually either they all work or they all break. It's very simplified. It's of course in reality, it's not quite that simple. But what I'm watching is here on the white count, this upper micro support area, because as I mentioned to you, as long as we're holding that 78.6 retracement level, I'm watching the white count and I'm watching for further upside, even though it's not high confidence. I think in one of the previous videos I mentioned to you like 60-40 probabilities, where we say, okay, upside continuation, maybe 60% probability, even though I don't like to give probabilities. But it tells you a lot about the balanced probabilities in this range, because essentially it's all a sideways range. Now, that's really only focused on the micro. Looking at the bigger picture, I expect further upside continuation. Yeah, but what of course I don't know is, okay, do we dip into the lower support region again? Or are we already in the breakout? Because the breakout is not happening in an impulse. Probabilities are really balanced, okay, really balanced. And if I go to the 30-minute chart now, then yeah, I mean, you can see this B wave pullback in wave 3. There are two ways to interpret this. I did tell you in the last few videos, I'm focusing on the orange scenario, which allows for one more low. But we were watching here at the end of the third wave. I mean, in these patterns, you know, when you're dealing with the micro patterns, really things are fairly unclear, or let's say probabilities are fairly balanced anyway in these corrections. But when we have a setup which makes sense to point out, I'll do that, even if it's not an Elliott Wave setup. So we had, even though, okay, that wedge pattern was in line with Elliott Wave to a degree, because we saw the third wave came close to an end. We also had the golden ratio level here, and then we saw that rally into resistance. So now the market has done what it needs to do. It reacted to resistance, right? So the question is wave 4 already over? Now that looks a bit like a 5-wave move up to me. So it's possible wave 4 extends. I would prefer that. It doesn't have to happen. Bear in mind, the wave 4 can also be a triangle. It's reached the 38.2 retracement, which is normally the ideal target for a 4th wave. However, it looks a bit like a 5-wave move on a smaller time frame. The move down that we've seen was 5 waves from yesterday's high, as far as I can see it on a smaller time frame. But it still might only be the B wave pullback. We could get one more high, but obviously if we break below yesterday's low, then we're already in the 5th wave to the downside. And I'm watching for one more low, ideally not more, because if we break below the 78.6 retracement, well, then we're already going to slide automatically into the yellow wave count, which you know about anyway. It would just allow for maybe more entries at a lower price for anybody who wants to do that. Yeah, not much more to add here actually about Bitcoin. So I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.